Okay, so let's dive right in. We have scene 9 opens up with more polka imagery, and the polka obviously representing the past and what happened with her husband who turned out to like men. And at the bottom of the page, we get some the first time actually Blanche insults Mitch when she says, "Why you haven't shaved? The unforgivable insult to a lady, but I forgive you." So that's kind of the first time we see her speak unkindly of Mitch. On the next page, and here's page 1, by the way. I don't have these numbered, but I'll just show you periodically. On the next page, we get more of the alcohol motif. When things that are really serious need to be discussed, there's always alcohol involved. Towards the middle of the page, we get let's see. I thought this line was really interesting. It says, "It isn't stands," when they're talking about the alcohol. Everything here isn't stands. Some things on this premise are actually mine. I thought that might have related to gender in some way, just assuming that Stan owns everything and she can't really own anything. Um, let's see. And on the next page, we get more of the polka motif, um, and the gunshot, which is the allusion to the past. Um, and then we get this contrast between Mitch and Blanche. Like, Mitch is actually being very short with her, and it seems like he's very, not aggravated, but kind of annoyed. But he's just giving her really short answers, and you can see that contrast because she has these like elaborate answers that she gives him. Um, let's see. And then on the back here, we got some repetition when she's like, it's so sweet, so sweet. It's terribly, terribly sweet." When she's talking about the liquor, we get a simile when Mitch says that she's like a wildcat when she's drinking the liquor, and then we get some more of the light motif when Blanche is like, "I like it dark. The dark is comforting to me." I don't, and then Mitch says, "I don't think I've ever seen you in the light." So more of that light motif and kind of hiding from what she really is. And that continues into the next page right here. There is some obscure meaning. Okay, and I put light motif up here, but in the middle of the page, I thought this was kind of humorous because Blanche says there's some obscure meaning in this, but I fail to catch it. Like she's talking about the light, and I guess how she avoids the light. And she's saying there's a meaning in this, but I don't exactly know what it is, and it seems so obvious. And let's see, hold on, oh no, and then on the back page right here, we get okay. So this line pretty much embodies Blanche. She says, "I don't want realism, I want magic," and that's pretty much who she is as a character. She doesn't want the realistic side of life. Like, she wants to pretend. She wants to pretend to be younger. She wants people to believe she's younger. She wants Mitch to believe that he's not fat. It's just she keeps pretending. That's the magic, and she doesn't get any of the realism until the end. And then I just thought in the middle of the page when Mitch was talking, "But I was a fool enough to believe you," was straight. I think that embodies his character, just the fool for going along with it because he really wanted someone to bring home to his mother. So the next page, we get here's the next page right here. Blanche says, "Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub, and such a filthy tub," and I think that was referring to the resentment she had towards her husband when she found him with another man. Let's see. Okay, and this is really interesting. So we get a really nice imagery of Blanche being compared to a spider rather than a flamingo. When she's like, "No, I stayed at the Hotel Spider, not Flamingo." And I was thinking, what's the difference between a spider and a flamingo? And I guess, spiders, they have to trap things and they have to, like, be sneaky about it. But, like, flamingos, they attract things just by their beauty, maybe. Or I feel like that's the contrast. Like, flamingos attract mates while spiders just, like, grab things and eat them. So I feel like that embodies Blanche. She's the spider. Let's see, we get a nice little metaphor right here, tying an old tin can to the tail of a kite because everybody knows her past. Okay, and then on the back right here, we get some nice foreshadowing by the Mexican lady outside of the apartment when she's talking about flores, flores para los muertos. It basically means death is coming soon because muertos is death, flores, flowers for the dead. Lots of foreshadowing here. And then the polka motif, the polka tune keeps on coming up there. And then we got this next page. Didn't really get much on this next page except for this one interesting line where she said, "Yes, mother, but couldn't we get This is like a flashback. "Yes, mother, but couldn't we get a colored girl to do it?" And then it says, "No, we couldn't, of course. Everything's gone but the..." And then it stops there. And I just think, is that just representing how Blanche's family was just getting poorer and how things were destabilizing back home. Here's the next page. Got a couple things here. We got some more of the leitmotif, but this time it comes in the form of moonlight. Let's see. Yeah, so when she says, "How about taking a moonlight swim at the old rocky quarry?" That also reminded me of the scene of when her husband shoots himself because it's at night, and he's basically on the cusp of this river, or this lake. So I was thinking back to that scene. And then, okay, in the middle of in the page, Stanley starts talking about the baby that's about to come, and he says, "The baby won't come before morning, so they told me to go home and get a little shut-eye." And I just thought that was a little weird. Like, if you're having a baby, like, if I was the father, I would probably want to stay there. I don't know, that's just me. I just thought that was a little weird. And then on the next page, we've got just Blanche coming up with all these lies about how she's going to take a cruise to the Caribbean on a yacht, and Stanley kind of sees right through it. She also uses a nice little simile here. It came like a bolt from the blue, like out of nowhere, basically. And I don't know, Stanley just sees right through it, which we'll see in the next couple pages. There's the next page right here. So on this page, let's see, Stanley just sees through this ridiculous scenario that she came up with, and about the tropical vacations in the Caribbean. And basically, he's making fun of her like what she's wearing on her head. He says this, and she says, "This old relic, haha, it's only rhinestones." Like, she's being so ridiculous and trying to be so fancy, but he sees right through her. We get a nice little parallelism at the end of this where it says, "This man is not from Miami, this man is from Dallas," right here. Just more of her lies that she's weaving like a spider, this big spider web of lies. Let's see. Here's the next page right here. Got a couple things here. Stanley talks about his silky pajamas that he wore on his wedding night. So I thought that was foreshadowing. So, like, wedding night obviously is sex. So he's talking about this. Like, is he going to have sex with Blanche? At the bottom of the page, we get these justifications. Let's see. She says, "What he wants is my companionship, have a great wealth, sometimes make people lonely, a cultivated woman, a woman of intelligence." Basically, she's saying, like, all these things that she is, that kind of compensates for her not being beautiful. So she's starting to come to the realization of the fact that she's not young anymore and that she has other things to offer men, which she's now justifying. We get a metaphor at the end of the page when she compares men to swine. Here's the next page right here. Okay, so on this one, I put Stanley's final breaking point. So Stanley, this is where he says, "There isn't a goddamn thing but imagination." Blanche just keeps saying, "Oh, oh," and lies and conceit and tricks. "Oh, and look at yourself. Take a look at yourself in the worn out." Okay, and he compares her to a Mardi Gras outfit rented for 50 cents from some rag picker. So he's very insulting. Like I said, he sees right through her web of lies. We get a metaphor here when Stanley describes himself as a boy when he says, "Not once did you pull any wool over this boy's eyes," and also when he compares her to the Queen of Egypt, when he says, "This has become Egypt and you're the Queen of the Nile." So he compares Blanche to the Queen of the Nile. That's that page, and then on this next page, let's see. She uses a nice little simile here when it says, "The night is filled with inhumane voices like cries in a jungle." So more like animal imagery, like the spider, the flamingo. We're in a jungle now. Kind of a theme going on there. And then this interesting part down here when it says, "Yes, I want to take down this message," when she's talking on the operator. "In desperate, desperate circumstances, help me. Caught in a trap. Caught in a..." Oh. So when I think of caught in a trap, I think I'm thinking of that web imagery still, because like the spider imagery. So this whole like web of lies that she's created, she's like trapped in it, like a little insect, like a fly in a spider's web. So then this is one of the last pages right here. I got a couple things here. This is basically the final showdown between these two ideals of the Old South and these new this new how can I say it, assimilating way of life. And basically, Stanley's standing at the door, and Blanche can't get through the door, and so she's kind of forced finally to like face him like head on, like these two ideals just clashing, and it doesn't look like it's going to be good for her. This part kind of made me cringe a little bit in the middle when Stanley said, when she said, "You're going to interfere with me if I go through the door," and he's like, "Come to think of it, maybe you wouldn't be bad to interfere with, dot, dot, dot." So that was kind of creepy. It kind of led towards the fact that he's probably going to rape her. Let's see. And then we get on this next page right here, we get the first time that Blanche is actually physically violent. Like we see that Stanley, he's violent throughout the whole story, but like this time, like Blanche breaks the bottle and threatens to cut his face up. So like I feel like he's kind of rubbing off on her, like her old South kind of ideals are leaving. Like she's just becoming so violent and so unlike herself in the beginning of the book. We get a metaphor here when Stanley describes her as a tiger, so more animal-like jungle imagery. And then that's pretty much the end. And then you get these allusions to sex. So there you go. Oh yeah. No, I thought it was interesting when he said the hot trumpet and drums. I was just imagining that, like really like dirty jazz playing in the background. So that's the allusion to sex. So okay, have a good night.